The girls stared up at the window. The monsters and their ghosts were still dancing up a storm. "Should we go inside?" George asked. Beth shook her head, her eyes wide. "I'm not going in there," she said. "No way." "You wanted to make Nora a suspect, Beth," Nancy reminded her. "She definitely is one now. So we have to find out." "I know," Beth said. "But can we come back when it's not so dark and creepy?" "Let's come back tomorrow morning," Nancy agreed. "I am sure Nathan will be here. Now we won't be alone. So we won't be alone. And let's bring those ghost doodles we got at Rex and Dax," George said, then quickly added, "No, not that I believe in ghosts or monsters." "I've never had pumpkin soup, Daddy," Nancy said as her father stirred the big pot on the kitchen stove. "But I'll bet it's yummy." "Hope so," Mr. Drew said. "I made it with foods I bought at the fall fair today." Nancy was helping Hannah Gruen set the kitchen table for two. "Why aren't you eating dinner with us tonight, Hannah?" she asked. Hannah smiled as she folded a napkin. She had been the Drews' housekeeper ever since Nancy was only 3 years old. But Hannah took such good care of Nancy that she was almost like a mother to her. "We're ordering in dinner at my book club meeting tonight," Hannah explained. "But save some soup for me." "Sure, Hannah," Nancy said. Staring down at the table, she tried to remember what side the spoons went on. But her mind was on something else. "Daddy, Hannah," Nancy asked slowly, "have you guys ever heard of Nora Westroth?" Hannah nodded and said she was an actress. "Was she also a witch?" Nancy asked. "She sure was," Hannah said with a smile. "A very famous witch, actually." Nancy stared at Hannah. "She was? Really?" "I'll tell you more about Nora tomorrow, Nancy," Hannah said. "I don't want to be late for my book club." Nancy waved goodbye and left the kitchen. Nancy wanted to tell her dad that what she saw at the theater, but he was too busy. "Soup's ready," Mr. Drew announced. "So am I," Nancy thought, ready to check out the Heights Theater tomorrow. And those monsters. "Yes," George cheered as she opened the door. "The theater is open." It was Sunday morning and the girls had returned to the Heights Theater. They would give Nathan his badge and then investigate the second floor for the monsters and ghosts. "Let's not tell Nathan about what we saw yesterday," George told Nancy and Bess. "He's too sure there are no ghosts or monsters in this theater." But when they reached Nathan's office, they saw no one was inside. Bess pointed to Nathan's jacket hanging from a hook on the door. "Nathan's badge is pinned to his jacket," Bess said. "If he didn't lose the one I found, who did?" The girls' thoughts were interrupted by the sound of piano music and stomping feet upstairs. "Do you hear that?" Nancy murmured, staring up the ceiling. "It's them," Bess whispered. "It's the monsters and the ghosts." "And that creepy piano that plays itself," George said. "I am sure of it." "We can't be sure unless we see for ourselves," Nancy said. "Let's go upstairs." "Okay, but not without our ghost goggles," George insisted. The Clue crew slipped on their cardboard goggles, and they climbed the stairs and followed the music and stomping to a room. The door was closed. Bess began waving her arms in front of her. "These silly goggles," she complained. "They are making everything look bigger and greener." Bess' hand suddenly brushed up against the door. As it swung open, the music stopped. The girls stopped as they stepped into the room. Staring back at them were the werewolf, the vampire, the green mummy, and the green creature that looked like those. Monsters, Bess shrieked. The fuzzy-faced werewolf with pointy teeth stepped towards the door. Hi, he said, through glasses. Nancy stared at the werewolf through her goggles. Then she checked, looking at him without them. That's when something came in big and clear, something dangling underneath his fuzzy chin. Looking closer, Nancy knew exactly what it was. You guys, Nancy said. I don't think they are monsters or ghosts. Why not? George asked, taking her own goggles off. The werewolf is wearing a mask, Nancy said, with Rex and Gag's price tag. The werewolf put the mask off to reveal a friendly human face. Did I forget to cut off the tag? He said. Silly me. Don't get me started on masks, the green ghost complained. This thing is hotter than my flat iron on that hot hair day. The ghost put off her mask to reveal her face. Sweaty but friendly. You are all human? Bess asked. She was goggle-free now too. Only we star in our upcoming show, the mummy said with a little tap dance. Guys and ghouls. Opening night is in a week, the werewolf said, as you can see by our costumes. We are in dress rehearsal. The actors introduced themselves. The werewolf was Randy, the green ghost was Crystal, the vampire was Ken, and the mummy was Liz. Come in and check out our pianola, Liz said, waving the ghost into the room. A pianola is a self-playing piano, Randy explained. It will be in our show too. Liz flicked a switch behind the piano. The keys began moving up and down. We saw it playing the other day, Bess said. I must have forgotten to turn it off after rehearsal, Randy the werewolf sighed. Silly me. Nancy was happy the monsters and ghosts weren't real, but she couldn't stop thinking about Nora and what Hannah said. Have any of you heard of Nora Westcott? Nancy asked. We were told she was an actress who became a witch. You heard right, Ken said. Nora left the theater to star in a big Hollywood movie. Which witch is which? Nora played the part of Rolanda, Liz said. A very good witch. Nancy smiled at her friends and said, So that explains it. Yeah, George said, smiling too. Now who's going to explain it to Quincy Taylor? Crystal reached into her handbag on the piano bench. Speaking of big stars, she said, Look who I saw in the prop room early Saturday morning. Nancy stopped smiling to stare at Crystal. Did she just say the prop room early Saturday morning? As in the time and place of the crime? Who was there, Crystal? Nancy asked. Crystal held up her phone to show a selfie. With her in the picture was a star, the sweetest star in Hollywood. Bess, George, Nancy gasped. Do you see who I see?